What would you do if you struck it rich? Would you build a mansion, buy the finest clothes, dine on delicacies every night? Now here's the real question. What if you became the wealthiest person in an entire territory, a millionaire when most people earned $500 a year, and you chose to live exactly like the poorest miner in camp? That's not a hypothetical. That actually happened in a remote Arizona gold mining town called Oro Blanco, Spanish for white gold. And today, we're diving into one of the most bizarre stories of fortune and frugality the American West has ever known. Welcome to Southwest Desert, where adventure meets the arid beauty of the American Southwest. Join us as we explore the rugged landscapes, uncover hidden historical gems, and dive deep into the lost gold legends and gold mining history of this iconic region. Please leave a like or comment. This is very helpful. Let's journey together into the heart of the Southwest Desert. Imagine this. It's April 1873, and the Arizona Territory is still wild, dangerous, and full of promise. 30 miles west of Nogales, right near the Mexican border, a group of prospectors stand at the entrance of an abandoned mine, a mine that had been worked by Spanish conquistadors and Mexican miners who'd mysteriously walked away. Why did they abandon it? Nobody knows. Maybe Apache raids. Maybe they thought the gold ran out. But these American prospectors aren't buying it. They look at that dark tunnel and see possibility. They see gold. White gold, the kind of ore that sparkles with silver and gold mixed together, the kind that made men rich in California. So they light their lamps, grab their picks, and walk into history. Within months, their gamble pays off spectacularly. They've struck a rich vein, and word spreads like wildfire. By year's end, 40 miners are working the claim day and night, and 10 crude houses have sprouted from the desert floor. They call it Oro Blanco, after that beautiful white gold they're pulling from the earth. Soon, 7 massive arrastras, those ancient Spanish grinding wheels pulled by mules, are crushing ore around the clock. Imagine the sound. Stone grinding on stone, braying mules, shouting miners, picks striking rock deep underground. This is the symphony of wealth being carved from stone. And gold fever is contagious. Once Oro Blanco proves there's precious metal in these hills, prospectors swarm the district. New mines spring up with names that capture the Wild West imagination. The Warsaw Group, the Yellow Jacket, the Ostrich. Each one promises fortune. Each one demands labor, and with labor comes community. But let's talk about what life was actually like, because this wasn't some romantic Western fantasy. The miners lived in shacks cobbled together from stone, adobe, and whatever scraps they could scavenge. These men were living like medieval peasants while digging for gold that could make them richer than kings. And the school? The school is where this story gets wild. Imagine sending your child to a building with only 3 walls. The 4th side is completely open to the elements. The roof? Just dried brush. No chairs. No desks. Kids sit on the ground or on store boxes. And on particularly cold days, and it gets cold in the Arizona high desert, the teacher passes around a bucket of hot embers. 1 bucket. For all the children. They pass it from shivering child to shivering child, desperately trying to warm frozen fingers enough to hold a pencil. Think about that. These people are literally pulling gold from the ground, and their children are learning arithmetic while frost forms on their breath. But fast forward to the mid-1880s, and Oro Blanco has transformed. The gold has brought stability and civilization, or the frontier version of it. The population has exploded from 40 miners to 225 people. 3 major mining companies, the Oro Blanco, the Esperango, and the Orion Silver, are operating with real capital. Those primitive arrastras, replaced by 2 massive steam-powered mills that process ore faster than anyone dreamed possible. The town now has a dentist, a physician, a blacksmith. There's a constable, a justice of the peace, and a deputy sheriff. 3 levels of law enforcement because things occasionally got rough. Multiple saloons are doing brisk business. Merchants sell everything from canned goods to mining equipment at premium prices. This is success, right? A real community built on the bedrock of precious metal. And this brings us to the man at the center of our story, the answer to that opening question. His name was James A. Robinson, and in 1899, he was reportedly the richest man in the entire Arizona territory. The richest man in all of Arizona. Robinson had built his fortune the frontier way: land, mines, and cattle. His empire was worth between $1.2 and $1.8 million. He was earning an average of $45,000 annually, which in modern terms would be over $1 million a year. And where was this titan living? In a mansion in Phoenix? A grand estate in Tucson? Nope. He was living in Oro Blanco, that remote mining camp where kids still warmed their hands over ember buckets in the 3-walled schoolhouse. But here's the twist that makes this story legendary. James A. Robinson, 67 years old, married to a Mexican woman, father to multiple children, earning $45,000 annually, lived on $500 a year, total, for his entire family. Let's do the math, because it's genuinely mind-blowing. He was spending about 1% of his income and saving the other 99%. His daily budget for his entire family, less than $1.50. He was living on less than what the poorest miner in his own camps was earning, despite being worth millions. What do you even do with $500 a year? That's basic food: beans, flour, coffee, maybe dried meat. Simple clothes you wear until they fall apart. A modest house, probably no better than the other miners. No luxuries, no fancy dinners, no gold watch despite literally owning gold mines, no fine horses, nothing. Why? Why would a man who could afford anything choose to live like he had nothing? The historical records don't tell us, but we can speculate. Maybe he was a product of that frontier philosophy that valued grit over glamour. Maybe his Mexican wife, from a culture that valued family over material display, influenced him. Maybe he'd seen too many rich men lose everything in boom and bust cycles and decided to hoard every penny for security. Or maybe he understood something his contemporaries didn't: that gold only has value if you give it meaning, and meaning doesn't come from spending. Here's the irony that makes Oro Blanco's story perfect. It's literally named white gold. The entire town exists because of gold. Every building, every business, every person, including Robinson, came for gold. Gold drove men to dig in darkness. Gold made them endure brutal conditions. Gold brought doctors and lawyers to nowhere. Gold funded those steam mills and paid for 3 lawmen. But for Robinson, the gold wasn't for spending. It was for keeping, for accumulating, for building an empire that existed mostly on paper. Like all gold rush towns, Oro Blanco's story has an ending. By 1903, the post office closed, the first sign of terminal decline. The gold was playing out. The easy pickings were gone. Miners drifted away to the next strike, the next promise, the next Oro Blanco somewhere else. There was a brief revival in 1908, when new mining activity sparked about 10 miles north and the post office reopened. They even called it Oro Blanco, creating confusion that lasts today. But this second Oro Blanco only lasted until 1915, when the post office closed for good and the gold fever finally broke. Today, if you drive 30 miles west of Nogales into the harsh Arizona backcountry, you might find ruins, stone walls standing against the desert sun, maybe the remains of those steam mill foundations. The gold is long gone. The people are scattered to dust. Even James A. Robinson is just a footnote in territorial history. But the questions remain, don't they? What is gold really worth? Is it worth more in the ground being extracted at terrible human cost? Is it worth more in a bank, accumulating but never spent? Or is it only worth something when it's used to build, to create, to make life better? Oro Blanco asked these questions in real time. 40 miners chose backbreaking labor for a chance at gold. Families raised children in 3-walled schoolhouses because of gold. An entire community sprang up, thrived, and died because of gold. And one man chose to earn gold's rewards, but live as if he'd never found it at all. So, back to our original question. What would you do if you struck it rich? Would you live like those miners, spending your dust as fast as you earned it? Or would you be like Robinson, the millionaire living on a pauper's budget, saving every penny while surrounded by poverty? The truth that Oro Blanco teaches us is this: gold doesn't care what you do with it. It sits in the ground, indifferent to your dreams, your suffering, your choices. It's just metal, beautiful, rare, valuable metal, but still just metal. The real story is never about the gold. It's about what people do in pursuit of it and what they become once they find it. White gold glittered in those Arizona hills. It drew men from across the world. It built a town where none should exist. It created millionaires and paupers, often living side by side, sometimes even in the same person. And now it's gone. The gold, the town, the people, all gone. Just stories in the dust, waiting for someone to remember. Thanks for joining us on this journey into America's golden past. Until next time, remember, fortune favors the bold, but wisdom knows when enough is enough. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, comment, share, and subscribe for more great content. Hit the notification bell so you never miss an update. See you in the next video.